When we talk about evil, the first thing that comes to mind isn't always a monstrous villain from the movies. It's often something far more subtle, something we don't always notice right away. But if there's one defining characteristic of truly evil people, it's this: they lack empathy. And that, my friends, is where the real danger begins. Empathy is the bridge that connects us to other human beings. It's what allows us to feel the weight of someone else's sorrow, to celebrate their joy as if it were our own, to step into their shoes and walk their path, even if just for a moment. But some people, those who operate in the shadows of manipulation, deception, and cruelty, are completely missing that fundamental piece of humanity. And because they don't feel for others, they don't hesitate to harm them. You've met these people before. Maybe they were a boss who seemed completely unfazed by the suffering of their employees, a partner who watched you cry and just blinked, or a so-called friend who never once asked how you were doing but expected you to be there for them. At first, you might have given them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe they just weren't raised to be affectionate. Maybe they expressed care in a different way. But over time, the pattern became clear. There was no softness behind their eyes when someone was in pain. There was no hesitation before they said something cruel. And when they hurt you, there was no apology, no guilt, no flicker of recognition that they had done something wrong. See, people without empathy don't just lack compassion. They lack limits. Most of us feel guilt when we hurt someone because we can imagine what it would feel like to be in their position. That stops us from crossing certain lines. But when you strip that away, when you remove the ability to feel another person's pain, all that's left is someone who sees others as objects, tools to be used, obstacles to be removed, or toys to be played with. This is why you'll notice that truly evil people don't just fail to care. They often seem to enjoy watching others suffer. They feed off of it. They test limits to see how much they can get away with. They may do it in small ways at first, mocking someone just to see if they flinch, pushing boundaries just to watch how people react. But when no one calls them out, when no one stops them, it escalates. Because without empathy, without that internal mechanism that says, hey, that's wrong, there is no reason for them to stop. And here's the part that's really unsettling. They know how to fake it. Oh, they do. They watch how others react in moments of kindness and grief, and they mimic it just enough to pass. They'll give you a hug when you're crying, but there's a hollowness to it. They'll say all the right things when someone experiences a tragedy, but if you look closely, you'll see that their words lack weight because they don't feel it. They're just performing. And the moment they no longer need to keep up the act, that mask drops and the coldness underneath is chilling. Now, let's be clear. Not everyone who struggles with expressing emotions is evil. Some people have been through so much pain themselves that they've learned to shut down, to protect themselves by not feeling too deeply. But there's a difference between someone who has trouble showing empathy and someone who simply does not have it at all. The difference is in the intention. The difference is in the patterns. And the difference is in how they respond when you bring it up. Because if you ever confront an evil person about their lack of empathy, watch what happens. Do they reflect? Do they try to understand? Do they at least acknowledge that maybe they could have handled something differently? Or do they dismiss you, mock you, make you feel like you're the problem for expecting basic human decency? That's the real tell. A person with empathy, even if they struggle to show it, will care enough to try. An evil person won't. They'll shrug, they'll shift blame, or worse, they'll make you feel foolish for even bringing it up. And let's talk about that for a second. Because people without empathy don't just fail to care about others, they make sure others care about them. They love being the center of attention. They love controlling the emotional landscape of a room. If they want sympathy, they'll manufacture a story that makes them look like the victim. If they want power, they'll twist reality to make sure they're the one calling the shots. And the worst part, because they don't actually feel guilt, They're incredibly convincing. They can look you dead in the eye and lie without a flicker of hesitation. They can play the role of the loving partner, the devoted friend, the concerned coworker, whatever gets them what they want. But when you really pay attention, you start to notice the cracks. You start to notice how they dismiss pain unless it benefits them. You start to notice how their sympathy is selective, how their kindness is conditional, how their concern only extends as far as their own self-interest. And when they think no one is watching, that's when their true nature shows. So what do you do when you come across someone like this? You protect yourself. You stop expecting them to change. You stop waiting for the moment when they'll suddenly get it and feel remorse, because they won't. You set boundaries and you enforce them. And if possible, you get away. Because the longer you stay around someone who lacks empathy, the more they drain you. The more they convince you that you're the one who's overreacting. The more they twist reality until you're questioning whether kindness and decency were ever real in the first place. But let me tell you something. Empathy is real. Good people exist. The world is filled with them. And once you stop wasting your energy on the ones who don't care, you'll have so much more to give to the ones who do. So don't let them harden you. Don't let them make you cold. Recognize the signs, protect your peace, and choose to walk away. Because the truth is, an evil person will never learn to care. But you don't have to let them steal your light. If there's one thing truly evil people excel at, it's manipulation. And here's the thing, most of the time, you don't even see it happening. That's the scary part. Manipulation isn't always loud or obvious. It's subtle, it's calculated, and it's designed to make you question your own reality before you ever question them. It starts small. Maybe they twist your words just a little. You say something and suddenly they repeat it back in a way that makes you sound cruel or thoughtless, even though that's not what you meant at all. And when you try to correct them, they laugh it off. Oh, come on, you're being too sensitive. You're overreacting. I was just joking. And so you let it slide because maybe you are overreacting, right? Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Maybe you misheard them, but you didn't. That's just the first step, because once they see that they can bend the truth and make you question yourself, they take it further. Suddenly, things that happened didn't actually happen, at least not the way you remember them. Conversations you know took place, they never said that. Or if they did, you must be remembering it wrong. And when you push back, when you insist that you know what was said, you find yourself feeling crazy because they say it with such confidence. They look you straight in the eye and deny reality as if it never existed. And that's not just lying. That's gaslighting, and it's one of the most insidious forms of manipulation because it makes you doubt your own mind. The more they do it, the less sure you become of yourself, and that's exactly what they want, because once you stop trusting your own judgment, who do you turn to for the truth? Them. And that's when they have you exactly where they want you. The thing about manipulative people is that they're not just lying to you. They're controlling the entire narrative. They carefully shape the way people see them. To the outside world, they're charming, kind, maybe even admired. They know exactly how to play the role of the good friend, the supportive partner, the caring coworker. And because they've built that reputation so well, when you finally start speaking up, when you finally start saying, hey, something isn't right here, no one believes you. Because how could they? That person? No way. They're so nice. You must be mistaken. And let's talk about that charm for a second, because that's another thing they use to manipulate. When you first meet them, they're magnetic, charismatic, the kind of person who makes you feel special, like you've been chosen. They say all the right things. They make you feel seen, understood, valued. And just when you start to trust them, when you start to let your guard down, that's when the shift happens. Not all at once, just in little ways. They criticize you, but subtly, like they're helping you. They make you feel like you're not quite enough, but if you just tried a little harder, if you were just a little better, maybe you'd win back that warmth they used to give you so freely. That's the hook. That's how they keep you coming back, because they never take everything away all at once. They give you just enough kindness, just enough approval to keep you addicted to the idea that if you just do the right thing, they'll treat you the way they did in the beginning. But here's the truth, that person never really existed. That version of them, the one who made you feel special, that was an illusion, a carefully constructed act designed to pull you in. And the moment they knew they had control, they dropped it. Now, if you've ever called them out, if you've ever tried to stand up for yourself, you already know what happens next. First, they deny everything. They make you the problem. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. You're blowing everything out of proportion. And if that doesn't work, if you refuse to back down, that's when the real games begin. They'll flip the script so fast it'll make your head spin. Suddenly they're the victim. You're the one attacking them. They'll cry. They'll act wounded. They'll turn the people around you against you. And if that doesn't work, they'll punish you in more subtle ways, withholding affection, giving you the silent treatment, making you feel like you're losing them, that you're pushing them away, all because you dared to question them. And that's how they keep you in line. Because manipulation isn't always about force. It's about control. It's about making sure that every decision you make, every thought you have revolves around them. So what do? How do you break free from someone like this? You start by trusting yourself again. You start by recognizing that you're not crazy, that your feelings are valid, that your reality is real, no matter how much they try to distort it. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop playing their game because that's what they want, to keep you engaged, to keep you tangled in their web of lies and confusion. And most importantly, you walk away because people like this don't change. They don't wake up one day and suddenly develop a conscience. They don't have a moment of self-awareness where they realize the harm they've done and decide to be better. No, the only way to win against a manipulator is to refuse to play. And when you do, when you finally see them for what they are and step away, that's when you get your power back. That's when you remember who you are, what you deserve, and how much lighter life feels when you're no longer under someone else's control. Because the truth is, manipulation only works when you don't see it happening. But once you do, once you recognize it for what it is, it loses its power over you. And that is the moment you become free. Lying is one of the clearest signs of an evil person, but not just any kind of lying. We're not talking about the small occasional lies that most people tell. Things like, I'm 5 minutes away when you haven't left the house yet, or that was delicious when the meal was barely edible. No, this is something different. This is pathological. This is lying as a way of life. Lying as a tool, lying as a way to control, manipulate, and deceive with no guilt, no hesitation, and no concern for the damage it causes. When you're dealing with someone truly deceitful, you start to notice that their lies aren't just about covering up mistakes or avoiding consequences. They lie even when they don't have to. They lie when the truth would serve them just as well. They lie just to see if they can get away with it. And the more they do, the better they get. It's almost an art form to them. They craft their stories so convincingly, so effortlessly that people believe them without question. And if you're the one who sees through it, if you're the one who dares to call them out, suddenly you're the problem. That's the thing about a skilled liar. They don't just tell lies, they create entire realities. They weave together stories so intricate, so layered that even the people closest to them struggle to separate fact from fiction. And the real trick, they mix just enough truth into their lies to make them believable. They take something real, something small, something insignificant, and twist it just enough to suit their narrative, because that's how they keep you doubting yourself. That's how they make sure that when you start to suspect something is off, you hesitate. Maybe I misheard them. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I'm overthinking this. And that's exactly what they want. They want you second guessing yourself. They want you unsure, off balance, hesitant to trust your own instincts. Because the moment you stop trusting yourself, you have no choice but to trust them. And that's when they have full control. What's even more dangerous about these people is that they're not just good at lying, they're good at not getting caught. If they get caught in one lie, they already have another one ready to cover it. And if you press them, if you refuse to let it go, watch how quickly they shift the blame. Why are you so obsessed with this? Why can't you just drop it? You're being paranoid. And just like that, you're the unreasonable one. And let's be honest, after a while, it wears you down, because trying to get the truth from a liar is like trying to hold on to smoke. Just when you think you have it, it slips right through your fingers. They make you feel ridiculous for even trying. And if you push too hard, if you refuse to back down, they'll do what all great liars do. When they're backed into a corner, they play the victim. Now, this is where the manipulation really kicks in, because they know exactly how to turn the tables. Suddenly, they're not the one lying. You're the one accusing them unfairly. How could you think that of me after everything I've done for you? And if they sense that guilt isn't working, then come the tears. Then come the dramatic speeches about how no one ever trusts them, about how they've always been misunderstood, about how hard their life has been. And if that still doesn't work, then come the anger, the rage, the threats. Because when the lying stops working, they'll do whatever it takes to keep control. And the worst part, it's effective, because most people don't want to believe that someone they care about is lying to them. Most people don't want to think that they've been fooled, so they give in. They accept the excuses. They convince themselves that maybe they were wrong. And the liar, they walk away without a scratch, ready to do it all over again. Because here's the thing. This isn't about making a mistake. It's not about someone lying once or twice in a moment of weakness. It's about a pattern, a habit, a way of being. This is about people who have built their entire lives around deception, people who see honesty as nothing more than a tool to be used when it benefits them, people who will look you straight in the eye, swear they're telling the truth, and never once feel an ounce of shame for the damage they cause. And that's what makes them dangerous. Because when someone lies like this, they aren't just hiding the truth, they're erasing it. They're rewriting history. They're making sure that no one ever really knows who they are, what they've done, or what they're capable of. And by the time you figure it out, by the time you realize just how deep the deception runs, you're already tangled in their web. So what do? How do you protect yourself from someone like this? You start by listening to that little voice inside you, the one that knows when something doesn't add up, the one that notices the inconsistencies, the contradictions, the shifting stories. You start by believing your own instincts instead of the excuses they feed you. And most importantly, you stop expecting the truth from someone who has built their entire life around lies, because people like this don't change. They don't wake up one morning and suddenly decide to start telling the truth. They lie because it works for them. They lie because they can. And once you see that, once you finally stop hoping for honesty from someone who doesn't even know what that means, that's when you take your power back. Because the truth is, a liar only has control over you as long as you believe them. But the moment you stop, the moment you refuse to play along, that's when their power disappears. And that's when you finally walk away. Power and control. If you really want to understand an evil person, if you want to know what makes them tick, what drives them, what fuels their every action, it's this: power, control. The ability to dictate what others think, feel, and do. And the truth is, they don't just crave it, they need it. It's not just about wanting influence or leadership or authority. No, this goes deeper. This is about domination. This is about bending people to their will. This is about making sure that they are the ones pulling the strings, deciding the rules, determining the outcome. And they will do whatever it takes to make sure they stay in control. Now, the tricky thing about these people is that their control doesn't always look obvious at first. It's not like they walk into a room and announce, "Hey, everyone, I'm here to manipulate and dominate you." No, they're smarter than that. They know that the best way to control someone is to make them think they're the ones making the choices. And that's where the games begin. It might start as something small. Maybe they're just a little critical, a little demanding. Maybe they like things done a certain way and they get frustrated when they're not. Maybe they make jokes at your expense, but when you call them out, they act like you're the one being too sensitive. And so you let it go. You adjust. You make yourself a little smaller, a little quieter, just to keep the peace. And at first it feels like a choice. I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to keep them happy. I'm choosing to avoid a fight. But then little by little, you start to realize that you're not really choosing at all, because every time you try to push back, every time you try to stand your ground, there's a consequence. Maybe they withdraw affection. Maybe they guilt trip you. Maybe they lash out. And so over time, you stop pushing back. You start doing things their way, not because you want to, but because you don't want to deal with the fallout. And just like that, they have control. This is what they do. They make you doubt yourself. They make you feel like their happiness, their mood, their well-being is your responsibility. They make you afraid of disappointing them. And that fear, that's where their power comes from. Because when someone like this has power over you, they don't just control what you do, they control how you think. They rewrite your reality. They convince you that this is just how things are, that this is normal, that you're the difficult one for wanting something different. And before you know it, you're trapped. You don't even realize it's happening. Now, here's where it gets even more dangerous, because when a person like this feels like they're losing control, when they sense that you're waking up to what's happening, that you're starting to pull away, starting to see through their tactics, that's when they escalate. That's when the real manipulation begins. Maybe they turn on the charm. Suddenly they're sweet again. Suddenly they're showering you with affection, making big promises, telling you everything you ever wanted to hear. And for a moment you believe them. You think, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they're changing. Maybe things can be different. And just like that, they pull you back in. Or maybe they go the other way. Maybe they lash out. Maybe they become cruel. Maybe they humiliate you, degrade you, do everything in their power to make you feel weak, small, powerless. Because that's the thing about people who thrive on control. They can't handle losing it. It terrifies them. And they will do anything to get it back. And let's be clear, this doesn't just happen in relationships. It happens in friendships. It happens in workplaces, in families. There are people who carry this hunger for control into every single area of their lives. And the scariest part, a lot of them don't even see themselves as the bad guy. They tell themselves they're just stronger than other people, that they deserve to be in charge, that they're teaching you a lesson or helping you be better. They justify their actions over and over again until they truly believe that what they're doing isn't just acceptable, it's right. So what do? How do you deal with someone who thrives on power and control? You take your power back. You stop playing their game. You stop trying to please them, to fix them, to make them happy. Because let's be honest, they will never be happy. Not really, not in the way that truly fulfilled people are, because no amount of control is ever enough for them. They will always need more. And that's the thing. You can't win with a person like this. There is no magical combination of words that will make them suddenly understand what they're doing. There is no amount of love, no amount of effort, no amount of patience that will make them change. They don't want to change. They want control. And the only way to truly win is to walk away, to step out of their grip, to stop letting them dictate how you think, how you feel, how you live. Because once you do that, once you realize that you are the one with the power, that's when they lose all of theirs. One of the most chilling things about truly evil people is their complete lack of empathy. They don't just struggle to connect with others, they don't want to. They see emotions as weaknesses, as things to be exploited, as tools they can use to manipulate, but never something they actually feel in any real meaningful way. And that's what makes them dangerous. Because when someone lacks empathy, there's no limit to what they're capable of. They don't feel guilt. They don't feel remorse. They don't lose sleep over the harm they cause. They don't look back on their actions and think, I shouldn't have done that. They justify everything. They rewrite the story in their heads until they're always the victim, always the hero, always the one who was wronged. But here's the truly terrifying part. They know how to mimic empathy. They know the right words to say, the right expressions to use, the right moments to act like they care. They study human emotions the way an actor studies a script. And they perform it so well that you believe them until you realize that their words and their actions never match up. You see it in the way they apologize, because they do apologize, but only when it benefits them, only when it helps them regain control, only when they can use it to manipulate the situation. And when they say, I'm sorry, it never actually means I feel bad about what I did. It means I feel bad that you're upset because it's inconvenient for me. It means I need to say this so you'll stop questioning me, stop pushing back, stop making things difficult. And the moment they get what they want, the moment they've smoothed things over, they go right back to their old behavior. Because that's the thing, empathy makes people change. When you truly feel the weight of your actions, when you truly see the pain you've caused, you don't just apologize, you change, you do better. But these people, they don't change because they never actually felt anything in the first place. And that's how you start to see the truth. You start to notice how easily they move on from things that would devastate most people. You start to notice how they can hurt someone deeply and then act like nothing happened. You start to notice how they always find a way to make themselves the victim, how they can twist any situation to make it seem like they were the one who suffered the most, even when they were the one who caused the harm. And if you ever try to hold them accountable, if you ever try to get them to truly see the damage they've done, watch what happens. They'll either dismiss it entirely. Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. You're being dramatic. You need to let this go. Or they'll turn it back on you. Why are you always attacking me? Why can't you just move forward? I can't believe you'd think I would do something like that on purpose. And for a moment, you wonder if they're right. Maybe you are being too sensitive. Maybe you are overreacting, because that's what they do. They make you question yourself. They make you feel guilty for expecting basic decency. They make you feel like you're the unreasonable one for wanting honesty, accountability, kindness. But here's the truth. You are not the problem. Your empathy is not the problem. The fact that you care is not the problem. The problem is that you're dealing with someone who doesn't. And that's a hard thing to accept, isn't it? Because we want to believe that everyone has some good in them. We want to believe that deep down, everyone is capable of kindness, of love, of redemption. But some people, they're not interested in redemption. They're not interested in growing or evolving or becoming better people. They're interested in winning. They're interested in power. They're interested in themselves and nothing else. So what do? How do you deal with someone who lacks empathy, who will never care about you the way you care about them? You set boundaries. And not just any boundaries, firm ones. Because the thing about people like this is that they don't respect boundaries. They see them as challenges, as obstacles to be pushed, bent, broken. They see your limits as things to test. And the moment you waver, the moment you let something slide, they take that as permission to keep going. So you have to stand firm. You have to recognize that it is not your job to make them understand, to make them see, to make them change. It is not your responsibility to teach them how to be human, because they know what they're doing. They just don't care. And the hardest part, you have to let go of the idea that they'll ever give you the closure you want. They won't. They're never going to look you in the eye and say, I see what I did to you, and I'm sorry. They're never going to admit that they hurt you. They're never going to take accountability in a way that actually means something. So you stop waiting for it. You stop hoping that one day they'll understand. You stop looking for the apology that will never come. And instead, you give yourself the closure they never will. You recognize that their inability to love, to care, to feel deeply, that's not a reflection of you. That's them. That's who they are. And you are free to walk away. One of the most unsettling things about truly evil people is how they twist reality. They manipulate the truth, rewrite history, and distort facts, not just to deceive others, but to maintain control. It's not enough for them to lie. They need to own the narrative. They need to shape the world in a way that serves them, bending the truth until it's unrecognizable. And if you've ever dealt with someone like this, you know exactly how exhausting it is, because they don't just lie to you, they lie about you. It starts small. Maybe they retell a story with a few minor changes, making themselves look a little better, making you look a little worse. Maybe they deny something they said or did, even though you know it happened. And when you push back, when you say, wait a minute, that's not how it happened, they don't just correct themselves. No, they double down. They insist that you're the one who's mistaken, that you're the one remembering it wrong, that you're being irrational, dramatic, paranoid. And here's where it gets dangerous, because if you hear something often enough, you start to question yourself. You start to wonder, am I overreacting? Am I remembering it wrong? Maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. And that's exactly what they want. They want you to stop trusting yourself. They want you to become dependent on their version of reality, because the moment you do, they have all the power. And when they do this long enough, with enough confidence, other people start believing them too. That's the scariest part, because evil people don't just manipulate individuals. They manipulate entire groups, entire communities. They rewrite the script until suddenly you're the villain. You're the one who's too sensitive, too difficult, too unstable. And they're the reasonable one, the misunderstood one, the victim. And at first you try to fight it. You try to correct the lies. You try to explain your side. You think, if I just tell the truth, if I just lay it all out, people will see through them. But the more you try to defend yourself, the more twisted things become, because they count on your reaction. They count on you getting upset. They count on you trying to prove them wrong, because every time you do, they use it against you. See, look how emotional they are. Look how unstable. Look how obsessed they are with making me look bad. And after a while, you get tired. You get tired of trying to prove what should be obvious. You get tired of shouting the truth into a void. You get tired of people believing a version of you that doesn't even exist. And that's what they want. They want to wear you down. They want you so exhausted, so drained, so hopeless that you just stop fighting. Because once you stop fighting, they win. They get to walk away clean. They get to rewrite history however they please. They get to keep playing the role of the innocent, the misunderstood, the hero in their own story. And that's the part that hurts the most, isn't it? Not just that they lied, but that they got away with it. That people believed them, that people you thought knew you started looking at you differently, started questioning you, started seeing you as the problem. That's the deepest betrayal. But here's the truth. You can't control what people believe. You can't make them see what they refuse to see. And trying to change the mind of someone who wants to believe the lie, it's like trying to hold back the ocean with your bare hands. So what do? You stop chasing the truth. You stop wasting your energy trying to make people see something they're not ready to see. You stop explaining yourself to people who never intended to understand you in the first place. Because the truth is, people who want to know the real you, they'll see through the lies on their own. And the people who don't, nothing you say will ever change their minds. And the most powerful thing you can do, walk away. Let them have their version of the story. Let them spread their lies. Let them twist and manipulate and distort reality however they want. Because at the end of the day, you know the truth. And the truth will outlive the lie every single time.